Good evening, racing fans, and welcome to the big finale of the Pro Series presented by VCO. And as you can guess, the flying clips you're looking at right now, yes, we are double-check with final race of our big challenge. Tonight will be slightly different because we will be Lee Smith next to me. Instead, we brought Korea always the man, the myth, the legend, the Ghost logo. I hope you're ready for it. Rain, so I hope everyone got their raincoats with them and the wipers cleaned and we've got the rubber on because otherwise this might be a big mess and you won't see anything anymore. There's even more to this final race though. I mean, we will figure out who's the champion of Season 2 tonight, but we will also show you guys an exclusive look and basically on the shakedown of 3 new cars coming to rFactor 2 this year. Yep, you heard that right, not that much time anymore in this year, but we will bring one more car pack for everyone, and you will see the 3 cars today. Just in case you didn't follow our socials, we saw 2 of them already, or you're not part of our guessing game basically on Discord that's going on 24/7 with me giving weird hints and then sometimes people guessing it right or guessing it wrong. So that's basically what happens while we're not on live on air. But let's get back to the actual GT Pro season and who could grab that big trophy, Ruben. And we got Erhanyovski currently leading with 792 points right in front of Haniel Sapti and Jonas Raivio, but there are way more people that still potentially have the chance to be crowned as champion tonight. I would say it even goes down to the 6th position. Journey Simoncic is there, Aristo Kapin in 5th, Yuri Kastam in 4th. So all these guys still have a chance to grab the big trophy. I fear that it won't be enough for Dennis Jordan anymore, who's going to be sitting in 7th. And then besides the big lineup of guys that can grab the trophy, there's still a fight to remain within the GT Pro Series. So a lot of things to happen today. So Ruben, tell me, we're looking more forward to seeing who gets the crown or who stays in the championship.
Yeah, it's kind of like a double championship if you look at it like that, right? You always look forward to like the podium or top 5, looking at who is going to be champion. But yeah, with this great system that we have with GT Challenge and people moving in and out, it gives us a great opportunity to focus on those players to get more accurate. So yeah, it will be very close. If you look at Keegan Roding, who is 21st, they will definitely be looking to score 1 point more than his rival in tournament. So it's super close all across the field. So that's great to see who can survive. Essentially, that will be most important. Staying on track, scoring 2 points, and doing a good job to stay in the row.
Yeah, we'll see how easy that will be when we actually get that rain that Jimmy Allison basically promised with 90% of chance of rain here. So I would say let's dive into the qualification. It's running for 6.5 minutes still. So we might want to look into who is leading there right now, or who's at least doing a good job. And then I will tell you guys more about who actually makes it to stay within Pro Series and who might drop out, because there are certain big names that are currently on positions that would mean they drop out of the championship. On screen, that's Erhanyovski, current championship leader, coming with 792 points into this very last race for Romain Grosjean Esports Cadillac, the Corvette. I want to say Cadillac, but we'll talk about the Cadillac a bit later. Please don't worry. And he's fastest. At least if it just didn't change, it just changed because it's Kevin Siggy right now with a BMW on pole position, the only BMW we have in this grid. And once again, the Team Redline driver shows why he's one of the best in the world with grabbing that pole here. As you can see now on the tower, a lot of Romain Grosjean cars in 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and yeah, even 6th.
Yeah, they've been very strong this season. If you really look at the standings as well, they've been doing a very good job. Look at P1, P2, P4, and P5 in the championship. It's Seoul, Sancho, top 10. The second Sancho in P12. So yeah, they're doing a very good job this season.
Ruben, can you do me a quick favour and turn down this in-game sound a tiny bit so we're a bit louder? I think that's what I read from the comments in our chats. Sorry guys, we actually had to change quite a few things in the background before going into our big final, because as you know, there's always something to do. So we might start it with the wrong sound level, but don't worry, we can actually fix that. Meanwhile, let's check on the other side of the grid. Borja Milani is currently the slowest driver from 1ACO, 2:14.7. And he really has to score strong today because he's on 29th, Nuno Pinto on 30th. So these two, well, will have to give it everything tonight to somehow find a way to stay inside GT Pro Series for Season 3. Won't be an easy challenge for them, that's for sure. Let's see who else is around. Ferry Stanley, a great job right now on 5th for HM Engineering. The previous AMG GT driver from Season 1, now on the Corvette that so many teams chosen for this season due to the BOP. So 5th is definitely good for him. Jonas Raivio currently in 9th with Jan van der Heide right behind him. So both Sencha drivers 9 and 10. They definitely want more, especially now with Jonas being 3rd in the championship. So he still has a chance to make it. Let's see how he does later on. But while we're still on board with Erhan Yujovski, slight drift into that La Source corner. And then up into Rouge first, up to Radio. Let's see how that works out for him on this lap. I'm sure that he will go for that pole position lap once again. He's been so dominant this season, really showing why he is the leading driver for Roman Esports. But also Yuri Kastov had great races, especially in the second half of the season. Got very unlucky though. There was contact with a teammate costing points and losing out on a win. So not easy. They're not even going easy at each other in this team, which we absolutely love and appreciate. And no team orders stopping them from racing each other. And we can see on the horizon already that doesn't look good. I mean, that's not your typical summer day where you chill out at Spa getting sunburned. Actually looks really, really dark. Long left-hander, really hard to carry on with all the momentum throughout this turn, and you don't want to extend it, otherwise you get a track cut or Jimmy Allison on your back immediately. And then down here to this nice chicane combination, very floaty. I absolutely love it to drive that. Once again, tapping the brakes a bit harder before you can then use the full power of your car through Blanchimont later on. And then into the last chicane before we end. See how he does. There was a purple and a green sector for Erhan Yujovski. He's just trailing by 0.1 of a second. Although it's Risto Capet now leading. 2:12.26 for teammate of Erhan Yujovski. Currently Capet is in 5th in the championship standings. We might see his pole being taken away by his own teammate. Yujovski coming around the last corner and then flooring it towards start-finish straight. Let's see, 2:12.2. That is a new pole position time here for Erhan Yujovski. 1 minute 15 still on the clock while he takes it. Kevin Siggy also on a very fast lap right now. Let's see if he can retake pole position in Spa for Team Redline. Oh, he does! Look at that! 0.012 between him and Yujovski. Wow, incredible qualification we see already. Really marks why this race will be so good for the very last round of our series. Kastop starting a new one, currently in 7th. He will have an... Oh no, he's not going on for another lap. All right.
Yeah, he was purple in Sector 1, but looked like he cut the track somewhere in Sector 2, so he would finish his lap for some reason. Maybe just some more mileage on his car, but yeah, P7 is where he ends up. We got a couple of drivers still left to finish their lap. essentially 20 seconds left. So everybody in Sector 3 gets a chance, I think, to finish their lap up. Venezuela currently in P10, loses a lot of time in Sector 2, but might move up a couple of places. If you look at how close it is, still, even in the midfield, it's still a few hundreds of seconds that can change by your qualifying results with maybe 5 positions.
Yeah, Jimmy Nusula, I mean, with 10th position, he can still be happy, and I think that's all he will get from this session. For him, he's currently, where is he in the standings, actually? He is in 18th, so today he just needs to avoid 21st, basically. But qualification is over. That means Kevin Siggy is grabbing another pole position in the red line BMW right in front of Ernjovski, Risto Capit, and Hani Al-Sabti. So entire Roman Grosjean squad is trying to hunt him down. Then it's Joni Simičić in 5th for Burst Esports, Ferry Stanley, HM Engineering, then Yuri Kastup, Jakub Brzezinski, Mahler Racing Team in 8th, Arne Schönfeld for Jira in 9th, and then the car that we just had on the screen, Jimmy Nisula on 10th, Satellite Racing. That are the top 10 going into the 15-minute sprint race. Obviously, there will be the 45-minute feature race later on. So a lot of racing coming your way and 90% chance of rain. So that won't make it easy for anyone here in the race.
Yeah, let's have a little look at the track rather. Spa. Obviously a very legendary track. Everybody knows this track, I think, from Formula 1, GT racing. If you really look at the layout, it's essentially the end and the beginning of the track that will give you a lot of opportunities. And Sector 2 is mainly very difficult at this area. Of course, very well known, and then leading onto the Camel Straight towards these right, left, right combination. You can attack here as well. Especially the first right-hander, and sometimes you see them go side by side all the way through to turn 4 or 5. And then here, Sector 2, you go into Sector 2 here, and overtaking is a bit more difficult. You essentially end into an area where you have to follow and have to get some patience, essentially trying to set yourself up for the beginning of Sector 3, where you can run up to the final chicane. And here we have the grid order, Rene.
There will be a lot of slipstreaming, and that will be hard for Kevin Siggy if he's remaining on pole position when going up to Camel Straight. The top 10, we had them already, but we'll obviously also bring you the rest of the entire grid. But yeah, once they came on Rouge Radillon, then onto Camel Straight, it will be a decision of how risky do you want to get into Le Comp, and that will be very, very crucial, especially on the first laps where you have so many cars around you, behind you, in front of you. Jan von der Heide starting 13th, then Wojciech Polesny in 14th. That will be great for Polesny. He needs to score some points to remain in the championship. Wisniewski only on 15, Michi Hoyer 16th, Alex Siebel for Evolution Motorsport in 17th, Peter Biolak 18th, Nuno Pinto 19th. That's good. He's currently last in scoring, and then Lorenzo Arisi in 20th. Michael Sedlacek 21st, Nico Barclay 22nd, then the first Porsche. Speaking of Shara, in 23rd for Bottlepal Motorsport, Robin Panzer from Burst Esports right next to him. And then the last rows, Kevin Rotting, Cedo Vyas, and that's once again Triple A and Sancho. Waveframe Esports, Daniel Canistracci in 27th, Pioneer Path only 28th. Not really what he was looking for. And then Borja Milan in 29th, while Martin Durlan isn't starting today. He's currently in 22nd, so he will probably drop down to a direct dropout position of the championship. At least that's what I would assume, but we will try to give you an update on the points right after this race. So bear a bit with us after the main race while we try to calculate at least provisional points to make sure that you guys are informed about the championship. But back to what we actually have on screen, Ruben, and that is Kevin Siggy leading again. And I have to say, I love it. I love how he brings that BMW to the front each and every time.
Yeah, I can definitely see that the raw speed is definitely present in that BMW. It's very clear that he has a little bit of difficulty to keep that first position. Of course, sometimes outside of his own doing, where he ends up outside of the track, sometimes the pace is just not quite there if you look, especially over the 45-minute main race. But yeah, it's great to see all of those Corvettes and then one little BMW there on at the front. So yeah, nice little purple beast leading all the RAGs, Corvettes, at least 3 of them at the front of the grid.
See Kevin Siggy close to opening the sprint race of the final round here at the Pro Series powered by VCO. Comes onto start-finish straight. The BMW from Redline right in front of all the Romain-Grosjean starts. And we're green here at Spa, looking from the rear-view mirror, rear wing of Kevin Siggy. While he dives down into La Source. That's side-by-side already with Yayovsky and Alsapti in the background. Great start for Risto Capet, who remains in second position. Seems like everyone got around La Source without any issues. That's good for a start. While we're on Yuri Kastop now, looking at Ferry Stanley coming through. Rouge up ready on. He needs to stay close now if he wants to make a move on Camel Straight. There are 2 Romain-Grosjean cars already side by side up ready on. Luckily, none of them spun out. But it seems, oh wow, what a move by Kevin Siggy, blocking the inside against Risto Capet, sending him to the outside, but it should be a done deal for him here. Yep, moving up to first, Kevin Siggy dropping down to second.
Yeah, you can really see how strong the toe is currently. A little bit of aerodynamic changes to the cars made for, especially for battling. That's really the topic of the week, the dirty air through those corners there up the hill. Yeah, you can definitely see that the cars can survive and can overtake very well following that Camel Straight.
Yeah, besides that, Capet made the move on Siggy. No one won a position so far in the top 6 because Simoncic, he managed to stay in 5th, right between all those Romain-Grosjean cars. And then behind him, after Kastorp, there's still Stanley, Brzezinski, Schoenfeld, and Nisula. While we see Brzezinski side by side now with Arne Schoenfeld. Brzezinski on the inside now, on the outside will be very hard for him to keep that. But if he can hold on to it just a bit longer, no, he can't. Unfortunately, I was thinking he might be able to defend into this here to the 90-degree right-hander for the next straight. He's dropping down 1 position, started 8th, now down to 9th. And Jimmy Nisula right behind him. Then a small gap to Michi Hoyer, who definitely won some positions because he started in 16th, up to 11th already. The previous season champion of the rFactor 2 GT Challenge Series. And let's see if Nisula can line up a move here. Maybe onto Brzezinski. No, he can't. While we see Kevin Siggy losing a bit of contact basically to Risto Capet. So there's a slight gap of nearly a second already between Risto and Kevin. They're doing a great job here. But Siggy, we saw him all season long being defending against all the big names of rFactor 2. I mean, he's one himself, we know that. But he definitely proved that he can withstand the pressure of an entire race or even 2 races per night just defending his position. And
here we see it again, the run very early on in this straight already, the overspeed that he takes out Alsapti, that is, over Siggy, and that'll be second place for him. Siggy drops back to 3rd.
Yeah, I think there's nothing the BMW driver can do right now. While we see Shara and Rotting side by side as well. Nico Barkley in 21st right now, started 22nd, so he made up some positions. And well, that was a crash. That was an Evolution Motorsport car rotating around. Who was that? Currently looking who actually dropping back. It was Dennis Jordan. Ah, so sad for him. He's looking good in the championship right now, but this will cost him a few points here in the sprint race. And it seems like Jonas Raivio is also dropping down. He's now in front of Nuno Pinto here, struggling to actually get a good run. I think he was probably involved in that. Nuno Pinto on the inside, clean move around here. Great job by both drivers. A lot of respect there. Worked out very well for him. We also have one DNF already. Borja Milan, unfortunately not scoring any points in the sprint race. And that could be very costly for him. He's currently sitting at 29th. So he wants to get every point he can find throughout the day today. So, front, still Capet, Alsapti, Siggy. We'll get a little replay here. That's Dennis Jordan. That should be Jonas Raivio on the right. Raivio running a bit far to the outside, and then I'm not quite sure if it was Raivio trying to make up space on the inside there for the car he launched an attack on, or if it was Dennis Jordan just trying to be too far to the inside. But great that we can catch that as a replay.
Yeah, it looked like Jordan actually was trying to take it a little bit calmer, and Raivio really diving in deep in that corner, and then, yeah, it goes in a little bit deep, maybe compromises the corner to the left, and then run wide a little bit there. very difficult to then go side by side when you run wide, obviously. And here, given Siggy, he got 2 RAG cars in front of him, and then there are 2 more behind him. Let's see how the run up the hill goes for Siggy then compared to El Sabti. You can definitely see that the BMW can have a good run up the hill as well. And definitely Siggy trying it here then.
It's easy. We see that Jajowski, that El Sabti moved to the side immediately, and Kevin Siggy passed by without any problems before Lecomte. That worked well for Red Line, but we saw that the Corvette is really, really strong at the rest of the track. We heard from race control as well that it looked like it was Dennis Jordan turning into Jonas Raivio, so that would have been on Evolution Motorsport probably, and not on Sancho. Unfortunately, he is in pits right now. Same for Jonas Raivio, so both drivers that are well within the top 10 of the championship now find themselves all the way back of the current standings. Dennis Jordan done though, so the Evolution Motorsport driver will return to the race. Well, this is Jimmy Nisula versus Ferris Stanley, and then we got Kuba Brzezinski in front of this group, which is for 10, 9, and 8 with Michi Hoyer in the background. The Jimmy Nisula for Satellite Racing, way better than Season 1 for him. And I like seeing him here running inside the top 10. And we know, Ruben, top 10, like what, 10th position is great for main race, right?
Yeah, that pole position, it's something very interesting about this championship is where the point table compares to your grid order starting position. It's definitely something I think, oh, wow, Nisula going wide there, which is a very difficult position as well. I feel like to be in there, getting oversteer right through that fast portion of the track. But yeah, I mean, definitely throughout the sprint race, people will be looking at that 10th position a bit more than maybe the points themselves, and really looking ahead to the main race and what that 10th position can be worth there. While Kevin Siggy puts down the fastest lap of the race, and I think Brzezinski won. No, he didn't won any positions, but he might. Definitely looking here, 4/10 of a second gap. You also have to see, of course, here still dirty air definitely being a factor. It's less of a thing, but you can still see how light the car gets. Trying to get a good run out of here. You don't want to be too close, don't want to be too far away either. Trying to get that happy medium. And Arne Schoenfried will kind of defend. He will, but ooh.
All the way to the inside there for Jakub Brzezinski. Is there a chance here? Arne Schoenfried defending into Lecomte. Great job done there. I mean, it was a bit far how much he sent Jakub Brzezinski to the inside there, but it worked well for the Agera Racing pilot. So he remains in 9th, that's actually 7th, in front of Jakub Brzezinski. Nisula, that's 9th, that's the car behind now. While we see, that is Michael Sedlacek from Varga Sim Racing now very close to Paya Path, that's 21st, 22nd, with the Varga Sim Racing pilot having multiple goes already on the 2 BPM Porsches right in front of him, and then that's also Daniel Canistracci. Oh, that was Canistracci making contact with Zbigniew Szara. Luckily, none of the cars got spun. I was very, very close already. Oh, and that's Sedlacek. I wanted to say he lost it, but that's a burst Esports Corvette in the background losing a rear wing. And I have to say, I fear that was a contact right there.
Yeah, definitely. The movement towards the right was very sudden. Yeah, with all the chaos and the Porsches in front, maybe the mirrors were not checked well enough. And then in the wall he goes. We'll try and get a replay for that.
Yeah, very unfortunate there for Sedlacek. And I'm not sure who else got taken out there. It was Robin Panzer, who is listed as a DNF now.
Yeah, he was the one on the outside, actually. So.
Yeah. 28th in the standings right now, not in the race, but in championship standings. So he's also very well aware of the fact that he needs all the points he can get. Same for Michael Sedlacek, who's in 19th. So if he would stay there overall, then he stays inside GT Pro series. But if he's not scoring well today, then he might find himself in the relegation races after this season, where the drivers will fight for the last remaining spots in Pro against the GT Challenge drivers that want to make the move to Pro Series. Kevin Siggy still in 2nd, defending against Haniel Sapti. He would love to actually apply some pressure on Risto Capit, and he's closing that gap to Risto Capit. It's down to half a second now, but still has to be aware of El Septi. So this is Robin Panzer looking at Michael Sedlacek. That was the kind of stretchy Shara thing that happened, and Panzer tried to move around the outside and then over the curb. The car settled a bit, and then he tapped the rear of Sedlacek's Ferrari 488 GT3 there, and sending both spinning, and in the end DNFing his own Corvette. Very unfortunate there. Arne Schunflit now defending against Jimmy Nisula, and it seems like Ferris Stanley, he dropped positions, right? Oh, no, did he? Oh, he did. He started 5th. He's now in 10th. Not quite sure if he's going for a strategy of getting pole position.
Yeah, might be.
But I can't really see that. I think no one would drop that far. I mean, 5th is a lot of points here for him. He's looking good in the standings. But yeah, he's behind Jimmy Sula now, in front of Michi Hoyer, who is close enough to maybe get a run on Camel Straight if he's having a good end sector now of that lap. While Kevin Siggy is now way closer to Risto Capit than Haniel Sapti is to him. And oh, Siggy wants to make a move, but both were wiggling a bit, trying to decide for a line. But Siggy not trying to dive up the inside for now, at least. But that cost both drivers a bit of time there. And we didn't catch that on camera because that was just luckily saw it on a different cam. Was very close between Risto Capit and Kevin Siggy here. But Kevin Siggy should be in a great position once they come up to Camel Straight. But the real question is, what's with Haniel Sapti, and how quick will he be to maybe even attack the red line driver? Capit with a slightly different entry to Eau Rouge there. And then up the hill. Still dry here in the sprint race, and there's the BMW M6 coming close to Risto Capit around the outside, and they should be done with the maneuver already. Yes, they are. Kevin Siggy, new leader here, 2.5 minutes before the end of the sprint race. Seems like the BMW is really running well, at least the sprint distance, Ruben. I mean, we normally see Siggy defending most of the time, not really gaining positions.
Yeah, it might be down to this specific kind of track. A very quick track, of course, a lot of straights. Maybe it suits BMW a bit better than tracks like the Nürburgring or Portland. But it's great to see Siggy keeping that lead throughout the sprint race, or at least the majority of it, or at least he takes it. But yeah, the pace is definitely there. And if you look in the championship, currently P8, 63 points off of the lead, but there's definitely a lot to gain still in positions in front of him there. So it's a penalty for kind of Strachey in the meantime. Might probably be track limits. Track limits can be very tight here at Spa. A little bit of a mistake can push you wide in certain places. There will be a cut track. Too many of those will be a drive-through.
Yeah, you have to be aware of that, especially in the 45-minute main race. That's for sure, because then you obviously rack up some more cuts. I also saw Brzezinski. Oh no, it was Jimmy Nisula being very close to Jakub Brzezinski, but so far, back to a small half and a second gap. It won't be enough while we're on board with Michi Hoyer here. Looking at Ferry Stanley and then Jimmy Nisula in front of them. Oh, very late on the braking. Wow, Hoyer came really close in that corner. Great run into the last chicane of the lap. While we're within the last minute of the sprint race. As we saw already, we will showcase you the new car pack coming. So stay with us also during the break from sprint to main race, because then we actually got some time to talk about all the cool things coming to rFactor 2 even this year still. A slight cut once again, but it seems like Kevin Siggy created a gap that will be big enough to not lose the lead here on Camel Straight. Amazingly done, even though Haniel Sapti gets a move done against his teammate Risto Capit. So Sapti now in charge of the hunt of Kevin Siggy, while we see Brzezinski overtaking Arne Schunflit finally after it didn't work last time. Schunflit, who was actually defending into Lecombe. Oh, that was side by side. That was is that Nuno Pinto and, speaking of Shara, if I'm not mistaken. No, that's actually, who was that? That was Payo Path against Kevin Rotting. All right. Rotting right behind him, and Cedar Vaya. Cedar Vaya is the center car in front of Michael Sedlacek, who we are on board with right now. Way better run for the Corvette here. No name. Sedlacek lost a lot of time with the Ferrari. Well, Kevin, I got another eye. I'm trying to split now. Another eye on Kevin Siggy, who's still in the lead, and it looks like Redline might be able to grab the sprint race win here with Kevin Siggy's BMW M6. Coming to Blanchimont right now. One last time for the sprint race. That worked well, and there's a huge gap between him and Hani El-Sabti, so he really put down the hammer on his very last laps here for Kevin Siggy, creating that gap and bringing a win to the BMW M6 here in the sprint race. On the final round, he will be very happy about scoring that big. So late in the championship, Hani El-Sabti second, Risto Cap at third, Nujovski fourth, and then Yuri Kastov fifth. So that are all Roman Grosjean cars in a row. Before we get to Johnny Simoncic, who is sixth, this is Kevin Rotting still looking at the rear of Payo Path, but won't be enough. So that's Shara and Payo Path running through the finish together on 19th and 20th for both drivers. So scoring relatively well. And then Michi Hoyer stays 11th as well. Wojciech Polesny 12th. He will be very happy about that because he's only in 20th. So with scoring that much in sprint, he might even got away already from the risk of dropping into relegation spots. That is Wayframe Esports we have on the screen right now. Lorenzo Risi in 25th. Still has to come through start finish. While we get the standings of the sprint race, it is Kevin Siggy for Redline winning in front of the entire Roman Grosjean squad. Then Johnny Simoncic, Brzezinski, Schunflit, Nisula, and Ferris Stanley, who will open up the main race, the 45-minute main race, happening right after this one with a reversed top 10 order.
I had a quick look at Stanley actually throughout the race. It looked like he just dropped back consistently. Not something that you want to hear as a driver, of course, but it wasn't like he dropped back 4 or 5 positions at one moment. But essentially from lap 1, every lap he kind of lost 1 position at a time. So yeah, losing some points there, but as you said, it's a great opportunity in the main race to start from pole. Definitely looking at the 90% chance of rain that will be very heavy, potentially at least towards that race. So yeah, it'll be great to see how everybody survives that if the rain does indeed come.
Yeah, with 90%, I think we will have a rain race, but who am I to decide? I'm not doing the server, nor I'm the weather god, so we will see what happens. So, qualification over, a 15-minute sprint race over, and that means we're heading into the main race. 45 minutes, and the top 10 will be reversed. But Ruben, we talked about that already, and we talked about it the entire day on our Discord. By the way, if you're not part of the official rFactor 2 Discord yet, and you're into talking about rFactor 2 and all cars, tracks, and whatever could happen to the game, then make sure to join us there for all kind of pizza, road call, and discussions about the next car. And if you missed social media, then you might miss that we will actually bring a new car pack this year still. With 3 cars, 2 of them were revealed early already, but with the 3rd car, we didn't reveal yet. Ruben, can we actually have a look at the shakedown of the cars, like of the footage we have from testing?
Definitely, yeah. We took some time today to shake these cars down as they are getting the final polishing done. This is the first car. Yeah, take us with you, Renee.
Well, you should know. You did that footage. You went to the track at Searings, witnessing our Cadillac DPI 2020 version, which will be coming to rFactor 2 with the next car pack. I want to say track pack. That's absolutely wrong. Car pack. So it's a new class for endurance racing within the realm of rFactor 2 with the 2020 Cadillac DPI. Great car. I love the front lights. I have to say that. Then on the weekend, we actually showed this particular car, the Corvette C8R GTE, the first midship Chevrolet Corvette. that the world ever saw, a newcomer to the GTE grid for endurance racing, which will also find its way to rFactor 2 this year. A new chassis for Chevrolet, obviously. Many people were discussing on social media that is a great thing, but there's also a third car that we didn't show yet, and that's actually this one here at the Rain in Spa. It was going out on track for the very first time, and that is the wonderful this year LMP2. And even though it had to withstand and struggle in the rain, great car opening up the LMP2 class. So in the future, it won't be only the Orica in rFactor 2 endurance racing. It will also be the Ligier JSP 217 LMP2 coming to rFactor 2. Make sure that you stay up to date with our Discord and social media and all of that, because the pack will hit the store very, very soon. You don't have to wait that long. And I hope that everyone out there that is into endurance racing will appreciate the 3 new cars that we bring to rFactor 2. They're a ton of fun, great, and I think they will diversify our grids even more, especially on the LMP2. I would say for now, Ruben, we go back to the actual GT Pro Season 2 and not stay with the car pack. Although, Ruben, isn't there another thing we sometimes mention in roadmaps and stuff that people often ask us for? Wasn't there something else?
Yeah, well, I mean, what fun is a car without actually being able to drive them in anger in some competitions, right?
That's true. The competition system, and we know that we have been a bit silent about that, and people were like, "Oh, is it still there? Is it still happening?" Yes, it is happening. The first iteration of our beta phase, because obviously we have to build up the system and introduce everyone to it, test things out, see if everything works the way it should be, is also being launched this year. So you don't have to wait till 2021 to have your first races. You can have them this year in the competition system. It will start with, let's say, a smaller offering of races to make sure that everything works and we can track everything and watch the numbers as we go on. But it will definitely be introduced this year. And then we can basically work together with the community in bringing that competition system to life, add more series, add more races. It will feature in the first iteration, it won't feature multi-class. That is something that comes with the next update. But it features different splits and different races. So you guys will be able to enjoy rFactor 2 during the holidays, Christmas holidays, and be on the tracker. You can be sure to actually run into Marcel, probably, Jimmy, Ruben, Dom. Never saw Dom racing though. Chris, myself as well. We will take part in some of the competition races, as we're obviously testing the system and getting everything on the way. So, new car pack coming, competition system coming, and a lot of racing action coming your way. And for the racing action, you don't have to wait any longer. So we're heading into the 45-minute race with Ferry Stanley on top. And that means we saw... Wait, let me quickly have a look, Ruben, here on the standings. So it was Kevin Siggy winning, but Jajowski came 4th, right?
There are so many RAG cars up front that it's very difficult to remember who was actually where. But yeah, I mean, looking at the standings, Kevin Siggy, he was 63 points off, so he definitely bites a chunk of those points off, and definitely looking towards the top 5 now, I think, going into that final race.
Yeah, especially with Dennis Jordan having an awful sprint race. So otherwise... he needs to have a cracker of a race now in main race to overcome that. Johnny Simoncic, he came 6th, I think. But Kevin Siggy should be able to close that gap point-wise. But we'll see. Nikodem Wisniewski, to say, I didn't really have him on the radar during sprint race. Lorenzo Risi, he didn't do well. He's in 10th in the championship. So it's still on. I mean, Hani El Sabti, he came 2nd, and he is 2nd in championship. So I would say right now, with Jonas Raivio not scoring well in sprint, it might be on Capit, El Sabti, and Jajowski now. When we get the grid, Ferry Stanley obviously leading into the main race. Journey Simic at 5th, so he came 5th in their last race.
You can see Jajowski P4 then in that first race with his 7th position.
Yeah.
Starting position, yeah.
And Kevin Siggy only on 10th. I mean, only he got the race win in sprint, and then you end up on 10th position, right in behind Hani El-Sabti, then Hoyer and Polesny. Next row is Alex Siebel for Evolution Motorsport, and then Nikodem Wisniewski, Williams Esports, Nuno Pinto, and Jan van der Heide for, I think, the fastest the best scoring Sunday driver in the sprint race. Nico Barclay, 17th. Peter Bjorlak in 18th. Then both the Porsches next to each other, Shara and Payapaf, 19th and 20th. Who came after that? It was Kevin Rotting, Cedar Vaya, Michael Sedlacek, and then Daniel Canistracci. He had that tap with one of the Porsches. And then we had the cars at DNF all had other problems. Lorenzo Risi, who was quite far behind, so I guess something happened there. Jonas Raivio, he had a collision. Dennis Jordan as well. Robin Punzer lost his rear wing. That's why he came on to 28th. And then the first DNF will start 29th, and that was Borja Milan. But I think Borja Milan is not even on the grid anymore. I think we're only 28th, 28 drivers right now, yeah.
Yeah, and Stanley leading the way then. Pole position for him. Might that be the first pole for him this season?
Yeah, try to think about that. I think he had one before. I'm pretty sure he had one. Well, let's see how he'll do here in the final race of the championship. And the championship is probably on for Capit, Al-Sabti and Yayovsky, which is very interesting because they're starting 7th, 8th and 9th. And with not having a team order early on, I'm pretty sure they won't have a team order for who's winning right now, because there's a high chance that it will be a Romain Grosjean driver, because Jonas Raivio will not be able to get back to that. I mean, where is he starting? He's starting in 26. That's very unlikely that he will play a role in the championship battle. But at least Yovsky, Al-Sabti, Capit, Castor probably, and still Simoncic. But for Johnny Simoncic to take the championship, I think a lot of things would need to go wrong for the Romain Grosjean squad. Stanley Nisola, then Arne Schönfeld and Jakub Brzezinski. That's your top 4. And then Simoncic and Kastrup, the first guys with an actual chance for the championship. Last few meters before Stanley can open up the main race. Let's see if he does it early. Waiting, letting everyone bunch up once again, and then we're green. Main race, the last race of the championship. The rFactor 2 GT Pro Series powered by VCO. And the last time that we see this grid starting in Season 2. Ferris Stanley holding on to the lead, but Jimmy Nisola already dropping down. That is Brzezinski going through. And I think Yuri Kastop is also already hot on his heels here to make a move. While we see Arne Schönfeld now trying to line up for Camel Straight for the first time that he has the chance here to use the slipstream to his advantage. Nisola holding on to 3rd position, so that worked well. While we see Ferris Stanley not being able to do what Kevin Siggy did in the sprint race. Just holding on to the lead a bit longer. Look at that. Look at Ferris Stanley not falling behind on Camel Straight. Side by side to the Lecombe. And in the end, it is Arne Schönfeld, though, taking the lead.
Well, you could actually see that Schoonfried was a little bit too early, actually, with opening that attack. As soon as you dive out of that slipstream, then you obviously won't gain any speed anymore from that point on. And definitely Stanley trying to look on the inside, but that was not enough there. You can definitely see, though, that people can go side by side through those right, left, right combinations there. And good to see that the action still persists even after an attack on that Camel Straight.
It was an interesting first go, and with Arne Schönfeld now leading in front of Ferris Stanley, it will be interesting to see how long Ferris Stanley can withstand Yuri Kastorp, who's right behind him. Also Peter Bjorlak, who moved from 19th to 15th, so great start for him. Payopef also from 20th to 16th, so who did we lose? Michi Hoyer is all of a sudden fighting for last position against Robin Punzer and Lorenzo Risi, while they're going side by side onto the backstretch, basically. Kevin Rotting also down to 25th. So it seems like Rotting, Hoyer, and no, it was only Rotting and Hoyer who lost a lot of positions, while a few drivers gained positions. So it was a lot of things going on. Both Porsche trying to run side by side next to Kevin Rotting, but Rotting around the outside here in the chicane, it seems like he can slot right between those two Porsche in front of him. Look at that. That's Kevin Rotting there on the white and green AAA Corvette, while we see... No, that's actually not. That was his teammate. It's Hoyer fight against Rotting, and that was Nuno Pinto.
Whoa! Well, I tune in. It's almost a broadcast director curse here, and yeah, there you go. There you go, and it's completely blind.
Oh, wow! Massive shunt there at the end of Radio, and I think he took out Brzezinski, another team. That could be big for the championship, what happened there. We need to get it as a replay, but crazy. That was Daniel Sapti being out, not in the run anymore for the championship. Michael Sedlacek in the wall without a rear wing. Jonas Raivio involved in that crash. Risto Capit out as well. Brzezinski DNF'd. Wow, what just happened? That was a change to the entire run of the championship in just one corner.
I think we need to prepare about 5,000 replays, I think.
Wow. Yeah, that will be something that we have to analyze. I mean, Arne Schoenfeld is still in the lead. Ferry Stanley is second. Jimmy Nusula in third. Kevin Siggy fourth. So Kevin Siggy obviously winning, gaining a lot of positions from that, from 10th to 4th in just one lap, basically. Johnny Simoncic stayed on, no, isn't 5th, came from 6th. But what happened there? I mean, Jagowski in 6th, so he survived that. He can still run for the championship, and he will probably get it now, because I don't see anyone besides Kevin Siggy who has a chance to stop him. Well, let's see, that's Yuri Kastorp, who was in 4th, in 3rd. Look at that. That's Ferry Stanley in front of him. So yeah, Kastorp losing the rear, smashing it into the wall, and then rolling onto the track again, hitting his teammate. Brzezinski tries to win, and hitting another teammate. So, wow. I mean, that was just magnetic, like, forces.
Yeah,
with
there
those
goes a Ferrari then. Yeah.
Sedlacek couldn't avoid the Romain Grosjean Corvettes being on there. Jonas Raivio, no chance to react, carrying on that 488 on the hood, basically. And that was the end with that rejoin for many of the Romain Grosjean drivers. And that will be Yuri Kastorp costing Romain Grosjean Esports the battle for the championship. I mean, besides Ohanilovsky, obviously. I'm actually stunned, I have to say. That was crazy. That was really, really crazy. I'm pretty sure that Jimmy Allison will be sweating right now looking at all the footage. What happened there?
Yeah.
I mean...
the first little rotation definitely felt like a little bit of dirty air there coming up the hill. Dirty air is a lot better than it was before, but obviously you can't just follow all the way up close as they were, while we get a double Porsche action. An overtake, Sierra going past Pieve. Panzer trying to get close to overtake. He actually overtakes him there as well. Panzer, of course, after that sprint race that was as dramatic as it could be for him, he moves all the way up to 16 with all of the DNFs, which are at the moment 5 already. And then we got 2 additional drivers in the pit for some repairs. So a lot of people that drop back, and then a lot of people that will gain a lot of positions from that.
Wow, that was, that was a real big start to our main race. And that meant that Arne Schoenfeld, Ferry Stanley, and Jimmy Nusula all of a sudden don't have any Romain Grosjean cars behind them anymore. So they will be quite happy, because now it's only Kevin Siggy. This is the view from Jakub Brzezinski coming up radio, and then everything unfolds right in front of him. He tries to avoid, no chance, hitting the wall as well, and then he's just a passenger in his own Marder Racing Team car. No chance for him to interfere. And yeah, you can't blame him for taking out Michael Sedlacek there, because no one could react that quickly.
Yeah, I mean, at some point you're just too close, and then, of course, with the hill being there in the way, you essentially can't see anything until you are there. And then, yeah, you have to either choose left or right. He chose right. He actually didn't hit any of the cars initially, just a wall that was at an angle, and then yeah, you hit that, go on track, and then you get the same situation again where people can't really avoid anything anymore. So Yeah, very unfortunate. You can still see P22 and 23 still in the pits for 2 minutes already, so that's heavy damage for those drivers.
Yeah, and especially Wojciech Polesny, he's in the pits right now, and he will be furious because we talked about that before going into this race. He's sitting on 20th, had a great sprint race, so scored some proper points to get away from the relegation spots. But now with him dropping that hard in main race, he might as well find himself in these relegation spots while we see Ferry Stanley and Arne Schoenfeld fighting for the lead here. And Ferry Stanley retook it. He started this race, and now he used the same slipstream that Arne Schoenfeld used to actually get back the lead of the race.
Yeah, he actually stayed behind Schoenfeld for a good 3-4 laps. And that might be a very good plan as well, just to kind of try and feel what the dirty air is like up front. Of course, if you're behind 3 or 4 cars, that definitely feels different than if you're behind just one of them. So yeah, you got 45 minutes. As long as you got the pace to follow, then you can just sit there and kind of feel what that dirty air does.
We got Payopath side by side with Lorenzo Risi and Kevin Rotting. There was before we jumped there was a contact between these two, and Payopath was flashing his lights angrily. So seems like there was a bit of contact. I can't see any damage on the Porsche currently though, while he's dropping in pace. Not quite sure if that was just momentum being lost. But yeah, the Botapar Motorsport driver now dropping from 19th back to 21st. We get another replay. That's Lorenzo. Oh, that was Payopath against Kevin Rotting. And they touched each other side by side there going into Lecombe. Not quite sure who turned into whom. But yeah, with all of these drivers battling to stay within the GT Pro Series for next season, obviously there's a lot of heat, a lot of aggressiveness around the grid currently. Nuno Pinto, he won 1 spot against Nico Barclay, so he's up to 11th. That's the replay from another perspective. That is Kevin Rotting, not holding his line, I would say, though.
Yeah, it was a very, very soft kind of touch, and then the cars just kind of get together. The wheels maybe rub a little bit. But yeah, I mean, as you said, it's very intense up here. All of these drivers are fighting not for the championship necessarily, but rather to just stay in the championship for the 3rd season. Trying to stay within the top 20, essentially. So that's, yeah, very important. Payopath then falling behind a little bit. You can definitely see that he's losing pace. The gap already 4 seconds, so there's definitely some damage on that car.
Yeah, very unfortunate for him. He is sitting in 25th. So
oh,
that's
the leader!
Spot. The leader spinning around. Ferry Stanley and Arne Schoenfeld both losing it. Exit of Lecombe, and Schoenfeld even making it worse. Spinning, coming from the grass. There is Ferry Stanley on the right. He will hopefully get on the support track and then onto main track again, slotting in, and all of a sudden Jimmy Nusola is in the lead of the race. What a crazy final. It seems like people really struggle to stay focused right now. Let's see the replay. Ruben really being quick today. So that's Schoenfeld trying to use all the slipstreaming into Lecombe, braking very late. That looked like a good maneuver, but he shot wide, opened it up to Stanley, and then Stanley wanted to move around the outside, but I think he underestimated how quick Arne Schoenfeld was still on the inside. I think he thought he was past already.
I don't even think Stanley knew where Arne was, because he saw him. Probably we'd actually look at a different angle on board, but he yeah, maybe Stanley just thought that he was off track and not there anymore at all. Let's actually have a look from Stanley. So Stanley here in front, and we'll see Schoenfeld on the right. He just misses the corner quite a lot. He actually stays on track with 2 wheels, but then yeah, just turns in.
Look how Ferry Stanley closed the door there.
Yeah.
And nearly ran into traffic. But I think that was on Stanley, to be honest. Even though Arne Schoenfeld didn't really got the corner, but hey, that's still fair, right? He was still back there while Shara makes up a position against Daniel Canestracci. That's Wayframe Esports versus Botapar Motorsport. So Shara in 15th now. Championship-wise, he would be in 24th, so also a spot that will lead into relegation. So if he scores good today, then there might be a chance for him to stay directly inside GT Pro. I actually quickly want to see if we might know already who will drop out, because we know that Borja Millar will drop out. There's no chance for him to make it anymore. We know that... Wait, where's Nuno Pinto?
He is
he's in 10th.
10th, yeah.
Oh, that looks good for him. So he could stay. Robin Panzer, he will drop out. Because I had a very bad main race, sprint race. He's 14th in the main race, so at least getting some points. I'm not sure if that is enough. Tito Vaya and Daniel Canestracci, that are the other ones on the direct spot to lose.
Yeah, and Canestracci just got a penalty, so that'll be worse for him. And he is currently in P. Try to find him in the list. P15. So he was actually about to score a couple of points, but yeah, he will lose. Anything that he would score today, he will lose with that penalty. Drive-through is not too costly here compared to some of the other tracks, but yeah, definitely going to lose a lot of time there still. Now let's have another look at that accident then, because we can actually see that the attack was almost perfect. If you look at the fact that he kept 2 wheels on track, you can see it here, he goes very deep, keeps 2 wheels on the track, and then there you go, Stanley's turning in, and then yeah, around we go.
Yeah, there's a lot of action early on in this race. Like normally we see the main race is really heating up the last 15 minutes basically. And talking about heating up, I think I spotted, yep, the first raindrops. So the 90% kicking in now.
Yeah.
We got rain at Spa.
As if the action that we got wasn't enough, we'll make it just a bit more slippery and a bit more dangerous and a bit more difficult for these drivers to really challenge them. I mean, these are the pros, so we'll see how they can cope with this weather. Well, Jordan takes back P16. Sierra dropping back 1 position. Yeah, 90%. I mean, we've had rain a couple of times now this season, and we've seen drivers go onto the wet tire a couple of times, which on all occasions was not really the move to go. They just lost too much time in that pit compared to what they gained back on track.
Yeah.
But yeah, 90%, and we're not even halfway through the race yet, while Kevin Siggy goes on the attack very early on the straight.
Yeah, that looks like a lead change. It does. Yep, Kevin Siggy through on Jimmy Nusula, so this could be Team Redline winning both races of the final event here at the Pro Series, and that would catapult him massively in the standings. As we've talked about before, he's in 8th right now, sitting at 729 points, 2 race wins. That will be crazy, and a nice showcase of the BMW's M6 performance, especially in the hands of Kevin Siggy. While Jonas Raivio was in the pits the second time already, I think he grabbed rain tires, but he's staying way longer, so it's probably also due to damage. Very unfortunate for him. So that will cost a lot of time. Let's see, we got Siggy, Nusula, Yayovsky. That's the top 3, and with Yayovsky being in 3rd, it basically looks like him also being able to take the crown of the Pro Series here at Spa. Johnny Simoncic in 4th would also have a chance for that, but for that, Yayovsky would need to perform way worse. Race not done yet, though, so never know what happens, especially now with the rain kicking in. And previously, we always had races, Ruben, where the track dried off, but with 90% chance of rain, I highly doubt that we will return to a dry line here.
Yeah, it really depends on how long this rain is going to stay on. Like, it's raining very heavily. You could already see a little bit of oversteer on a couple of drivers, but if the rain stops in, let's say, 5 minutes, then yes, it will be very slippery, but at the same time, you'll be able to regain a little bit of pace as the track dries up. It'll be interesting to see. It essentially the thing of how long will the rain stay on. If it's from now until the end, then I expect everybody to change onto the wets, because at some point it will be impossible. Definitely through Eau Rouge, following another driver, that will be very difficult. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And that's what we said earlier, is that previously, well, Schoonvliet is already in, actually. Yeah, coming in. Let's see if the car goes up for new tires, and yeah, there it goes. So, and we can actually see the sidewalls change from yellow lettering to just black with a little white accent on there, which means that he's on the wet. So Schoonvliet, actually the first one who goes on to the wets and try and do something about his race, obviously falling back a lot. So yeah, trying to score as many points as he can still within this race.
Yeah, I wonder, Kevin Siggy is still out there, obviously on dry tires, and we saw him on different camera already starting to slide a lot. Also way more water being pulled up by the diffuser of the GT3s on track right now. So wonder when everyone is coming in. Jimmy Nisula is also still out on track. Same for Jojovski and Simoncic. When they actually come in, but it's a very risky run right now. I mean, with the track constantly changing, you might be sure that you can do that corner with that speed because it worked the previous one, but that doesn't mean anything. Quick replay of Rotting, losing it. Not Rodeo spinning and even hitting the wall. Very unfortunate. That's front right fender of the AAA Esports Corvette.
It wasn't too hard of a hit, but it definitely shows that the track is getting slipperier and slipperier. Yellow in Sector 2 as well, so there are definitely a couple of drivers now being catched out. And I expect, I can see Kevin Siggy going towards the end of the lap. Yeah, I definitely expect some drivers in pretty quickly now.
Yeah, it is raining heavily here at Spa, so...
Yeah, look at the spray already.
It will be interesting if someone tries to stay. You see Kevin Siggy now coming into the last chicane and not pulling into pits. Interesting. Same for Nisula. Yeah. Same for Jajovski and Simoncic.
Pretty much everybody in the top five.
I'm checking Siebel. Siebel turns in. So Siebel, position 5. That's the first car to go. Same for Stanley. Same for Wisniewski. It looks like everyone is copying the cars in front. And since Alex Siebel couldn't see Johnny Simoncic, he just assumed maybe that everyone else went into the pits. But the top 4, they stayed on track. Everyone else, besides Michi Hoyer, who also stayed out, is in the pits. Really, like we can see them.
It'll be very crowded in the pit as well, though. I don't even know if we have enough pit stalls for this on this layout.
Panzer's in the pits, Sido Vaya in the pits. Yeah, everyone. But Michi Hoyer obviously won a ton of positions right now. He's up to 5th now. You don't want to park right into the HM Engineering car, I would say. Yep.
Yeah, I think they are sharing a pit.
They're sharing the same spot. Yeah. Obviously very unfortunate now. They all wanted to go for the same.
Oh, the oversteer on Siggy, though. It's very slippery. If he doesn't come in this lap, then he will lose massively. But what could be the case is that if you look at last race when it rained and the race before, or the race before that when it rained, the two previous times that it rained, essentially, it was always very short. So it rained and then after 5 minutes it dried up again. Maybe they're thinking that this time it will be the same. Because last time changing for wets was not the right choice. We'll see. But if you look at how loose this car is, obviously a lot of weight in the front in this BMW front engine car, so the rear will be light. Same for the Corvette, of course. Porsche has all the weight at the rear, so might be that the Porsches will be better off in the rain, definitely on slicks. But it will be interesting to see where the Porsches end up in these conditions.
It will be interesting though. We know that Alex Siebel, he's in 6th right now. He's the leading car on wet tires, with Michi Hoyer being the last car on slicks. And there is a difference of roughly 20 seconds between Hoyer and Siebel. And we have to basically check if Siebel is really gaining that time on Michi Hoyer right now to judge how they do compared to the drivers on slicks. Well, we see that here. That's Ferry Stanley in 8th, so he is on wet tires, following Nikodem Wisniewski. A bit slippery and wet out of the long left-hander there, the double apex. Kind of stretchy against Arno Schönfliet, obviously 14th after his mistake, or maneuver going salty basically.
Yeah, there come the leaders in for their pits. You can actually see on the left who is yet to come in, Pief as well from P9, and you can see more drivers who are sharing a pit spot. Yeah, this is the difficult thing though. When you're coming in all together, you can't really go through the other car though. I can see that Hoyer is also coming in, and then we can take a look at Peo looking, he's still in Sector 3, so he will be coming in, all goes wide. Full on drift, he has to come in though, like with slicks it's just becoming dangerous now at this point.
Yeah, it's way too dangerous. I mean, you still have 23 minutes to go, but no, I mean, maybe he wants to risk it. I mean, we're talking about 23 minutes, and he has to get either very, very good points, or it doesn't matter to him anyway. So that could be him just trying something out of the ordinary to make it work for him. So let's see if that pays off. He's now in 8th, but Nuno Pinto right behind him. Is Nuno Pinto on slicks.
He actually went in though, but I mean, if you look at
He's
the
not
tires,
slicks. He's not slicks.
right? Yeah.
He's on wet. That means Payopath will probably be overtaken very soon. Johnny Simoncic now our leader, but he's also still on slicks. And Kevin Siggy, I think he should be on wets, right?
Yeah. Siggy went in, so I assume he changed for wets. Yeah, he got the Michelin tire, so we can't see it the same as we can on the Pirellis, but he should be on wets. If he's not on wets, then I expect him to come in again in the lap or two, because this is just getting slower and slower. If you look at the last lap times, a 2:53 for Simoncic, and some of the other drivers that are already on wets before the last lap, they are in the low 230, high 220. So there's about 20 seconds difference between slicks and wets right now.
Yeah, and we see Alex Siebel being up for third right now for Evolution Motorsport. He will be quite happy about that one, I'm sure. This is Erhan Yayovsky against Ferris Stanley. Stanley and Anna Schönfeld, they will hate that maneuver for so long. Yeah. Losing the chance for a win here at Spa, with Kevin Siggy trying to defend against Johnny Simoncic. And then look at Alex Siebel just going by, because Simoncic, he's on dry tires. Yeah,
that was actually Siggy overtaking him around the outside, and it kind of looked like a defense, because the overtake was just so easy that he just strolled around the outside on those wets compared to the slick. You can see dropping back to fourth, or third rather. Nisula and Sinuski there chasing him, and in the braking zone you can see how early Simoncic has to brake here, way earlier, and you can see Nisula even 4 or 5 car lengths away he can actually go, and then Simoncic will go in. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, he had to. He's losing so much time, and we see the same with Payopath. I mean, he got overtaken by Nuno Pinto easily, and I guess the Porsche driver will... No? Never mind? Don't mind me saying something?
I have to say though, Payopath last lap was a 2:29, this lap was a 2:31. His pace is there. He's a couple of seconds off, but he's not like 20 seconds off like Simoncic was. So
maybe it works. I mean, let's see. Where's the second BPM driver? That is, speaking of Shara, in 13th right now, right behind Arne Schönfeld and in between Robin Panzer. Is he on wets?
Well, I actually think maybe either Path has already come in and the tower is just lying to us, maybe that, or he started on wets with like 90% chance he might have been like, you know, maybe the wets are slower in the start, but then you don't have to do that stop. Maybe that'll be the case.
I would have been an interesting tactic to decide for wets early on. Shara has to defend against Michi Hoyer and Robin Panzer. They're going 3 wide into Lecombe. But we have to stay with Yayovsky and Nisula here, because that's the top 5. No, we actually get a quick look at that fight, and there's Arne Schönfeld and Robin Panzer quickly touching and sending Schönfeld wide. He will lose even more positions right now. And a race to forget for him here in Spa. Very sad.
You can even see with the wets how difficult it is to stay online. And even with the wets, like a wet is not a tire that will just go as quick as a slick in the rain. Obviously, you still lose grip, and of course off the line it will even be worse. Even when it rains as hard like this, on the line it will still be drier than it is off the line. So even if you go off a little bit, even if you go off maybe half a car width off of that racing line, you already start to go wider and wider. You get kind of stuck off the line because you won't have any grip to get back, so you just slide off further, and then yeah, you might lose maybe half a second in one corner if you just get that little turn-in point wrong, or the braking point wrong, if you just underestimate the grip, or overestimate the grip rather.
Quickly looking into the laps of Kevin Siggy. 2:31.
No laps
what about Siebel?
27.
That was 3 seconds quicker than Kevin Siggy, because look at the Evolution Motorsport driver currently being on chase here for Kevin Siggy. So be interesting to see if he can close that gap and get into a fight for the win. Slidey around Erosion Radio. Everyone making it up to Camel Straight. That's a start. Yayovsky right behind Jimmy Nisula, and he basically just has to finish within, let's say, the top 10. Finish this race, and then he will become the champion of Season 2, which means that will be a back-to-back for the Francorchamps Esports driver in terms of championships. That worked well for him, so winning one spot against Jimmy Nisula, and with that having Nikodem Wisniewski in front of him, the Williams Esports driver. Quick replay of Daniel Canestracci.
Yeah, just came out of the pits, and right on cold tires on the wet, you can see the dirty air still very much being a factor there, and then yeah, there you go into the wall, and has actually DNF'd since this moment. So you can definitely see even on the wet, it's still very much a difficult thing, while we get Barkley trying to get around the outside of Pav. Pav in 9th currently, blinking his headlights.
Yeah, I think the Porsche's just not up to pace on if he's on dry tires. Really, I'm not quite sure right now. With Daniel Canestracci being a DNF, same by the way for Yunus Raivio, that means Canestracci will definitely drop out of Pro Series this season, because he's in 26th right now, which would be a direct drop, and with not scoring any points in Pro in main, totally throwing things together now. He will not have a chance, I think, to remain. And Daniel Canestracci, but unfortunate for him, he in the Spa race, which was a chaotic start. Let's be honest here. We're now on the last remaining 16 minutes, but Spa so far in the main race, while sprint was fairly calm, the main race showed how crazy it can get here in Belgium, with a huge crash that we saw with Yuri Kastop spinning, Nico Barkley and Michi Hoyer. Yeah, we're on board with Michi Hoyer, and that's Peter Björlak right in front of him. But they all passed Payopath in the Porsche. So, oh, that is Björlak gone.
Yep. And
Payopath still not in the pits, while we see Shara already on his back. So, do you know if Shara pitted?
Shara did, yeah. It was only Pav and one other driver within the top 10 that actually came in after that, that were showing 0 pit stops. But I feel like Pav is on wets, because if we saw the pace of Simoncic when he was on slick, that was like 24, 25 seconds off the pace. So Pav must have come in, and then maybe, or he started on the wet, and that might maybe explain why his pace is a little bit off, even compared to his teammate. Same car should produce very similar pace, of course. Slipstream's still doing his job, but yeah, if he started on the wets, then that might mean that those wets have degraded a little bit and kind of turned into kind of a semi-slick maybe. Yeah.
Well, we hope he has a bit more profile on those tires left, because yeah, he still has to defend. That's Dennis Jordan behind him now, the other Evolution Motorsport driver, with Alex Siebel, his teammate, being in 2nd. So looking for a strong finish here for Evolution Motorsport. What we get as a replay, that is Peter Björlak following Payopath. Porsche both going a bit wide, but yeah, Porsche no chance to return to the ideal line there. And then Peter Björlak found his way. Same for Nico Barkley a bit later, but then took down Payopath.
Yeah, and drop back one more position. Yeah, you can see how far off the line he is, and how far off the apex actually he is. Pretty much constantly, so there's just no grip in that car currently, just none.
In the lead, that is still Kevin Siggy, and as you can see on the tower right now, he already racked up nearly 2 seconds of a gap to Alex Siebel and Ernie Jofsky in 3rd. So it is looking good for Team Redline and Kevin Siggy to get 2 race wins in one event, something that didn't happen too often this season. I think it only happened once so far, and it could be the very first time for the BMW. Well, they run into traffic, something I definitely didn't expect it to see here in Spa.
No.
Let's see, I quickly want to check the DNFs again, but there's no one else. No, Sedlacek, he was involved in that crash with Yuri Kastorp, so that's nothing new. Wojciech Polesny, he's still running in the 488 on 21st, hoping that people will that people will drop out, because if he's just making sure that he sees the checkered flag, then there might be a few points for him in. And we got report by Race Control that it happened in Season 1 by Michi Hoyer in GT Challenge. Yes, but it also happened this season in GT Pro, I think. Once. This is Dennis Jordan against Payo Pef. We see the Porsche driver dropping more and more. There we can see it's actually Payo, because I can read it on the C-pillar of the car.
Yeah, a little bit of contact going into that corner. This actually happened while we were in the previous replay. Yeah, Pef just dropping back a lot. This is more than just like the pace of himself. Like, if you can see how far off he gets essentially on every apex, it's just dropping back very hard, and you can see from the Heide now.
Yeah, well, whatever Payo Pef tried to do, it didn't work for him. It didn't pay it out. It's like it didn't pay it off. So the Porsche is dropping in pace, and I guess Jan van der Heide will have an easy job now to get around the Porsche, once again not being able to hold the line. So it's too late now also to do the pit stop. I mean, it's 11.5 minutes to go. He won't gain anything from this. He will just drop even further. While we see Peter Biolak, he spun again. Williams Esports, I can see the car on the downhill section in the wrong way around. Now returning. Also not a great race for him. Well, Jan van der Heide made that easy move onto Payo Pef. Kevin, Sigi, Siebel and Yojovski, then Wisniewski, Nisula and Ferris Stanley, although Ferris Stanley is a bit off of Jimmy Nisula. On board with Lorenzo Risi. Now looking at Arne Schönfeld, who could have had a way better race if it wasn't for the contact with Ferris Stanley. First it was Schönfeld overshooting the corner when he tried to dive into the inside, and then it was Ferris Stanley kind of overlooking the Acira driver on the inside. Both made contact, spun around and lost a lot of positions. Otherwise they could probably now compete for the lead of the race, at least currently. Risi didn't have a great sprint race and now wants to make up in the main race, while we go back to Peter Biolak. The situation that I was describing a bit earlier. Yep, just losing the rear there. Spinning around, then standing on the inside there. Needs to be aware of traffic, obviously. It's quite a hard corner to get back onto track of, actually.
Yeah.
While we see Arisi now side by side with Arne Schönfeld. They will approach Arouge and who will back out. It is Arne Schönfeld getting the corner, because Lorenzo Arisi not brave enough there, it seems, to force Arne too wide into that corner.
Yeah, that moment that we saw in the replay, that spin, that might actually be one of the only downsides of the Corvettes. We know the Corvettes have been very strong this season, and then we balanced them out a little bit, and then we can see the BMW being very strong, obviously, with Siggy doing very well today. But the Corvette being a very stable car, one downside that it has is that the steering lock, like the maximum angle that you can get out of the front wheels, is very shallow compared to essentially the entire GT3 field. So in a moment like that, where you are drifting to the corner in a Porsche or a BMW, you would have been able to catch that. Whereas the Corvette, it just can't steer that far into that corner, into the left or into the drift, essentially. So yeah, a little bit of a downside for that. It's not something that you typically see a lot. Of course, you want to keep the nose forwards and keep the rear to behind, where we can see that Schönfeld is having the same thing, exactly the same thing. You can see that he just, the exact same thing. So just not enough steering angle in that car to keep that front facing forwards, just not enough steering essentially in that car. So yeah, it's a perfect moment. Thank you very much for showing that. It's a shame for his race, of course. He lost a lot of points already, so he's not losing a lot more with this. But yeah, I mean, it's that kind of a race where it goes wrong once and then you're just kind of in a rut where you just go backwards essentially. So it's a shame. It's a shame.
Yeah, it's definitely a race with far more action than we expected so far. That's for sure, especially with the Romain Grosjean guys being taken out by their own driver. Started with Yuri Kastor losing the car early on, and then unfortunately only tapping his own teammates. That was the weird part. There was so much chaos going on there with them coming onto Camel Straight, but it was only his own teammates that got caught off guard. while we see Nico Barkley in 9th now. So he will be happy as he's currently in 23rd, which would be a relegation spot. But if he's actually keeping on like this in the main race, then there might be a chance for him to move up and not get into that.
Wow, very close.
Wow, great racing here.
Well, I mean, this is not the way that you want to do it though, because he actually gets the spot from Barkley. He just drops back. There you go. Yeah, signs. Maybe they had some collisions early on, so he just gives him this spot. But if you look at how early on he had to go out of that slipstream, at that point he's not winning any speed anymore compared to the car in front. So that would have been a very difficult way to overtake, because you're essentially going head to head into that next corner at the end of Camel Straight.
By the way, since we know that race control is always working on this, we actually got confirmation that Payo Path is on wets, because and it seems like he was from the get-go.
Okay.
So that was the tires degrading over time for him.
Yeah. You can see there again the stops, everyone except for Path that went in once, and of course the people that DNF didn't come in essentially for a pit stop. But yeah, there you go, P16 to 20 as well, all one stop. So yeah, that's very interesting though. It's a tactic that could have worked if it started raining earlier, but what you'll see with the wets is that they're essentially, what I believe, softer than a slick tire would be. So they'll degrade quicker on a dry track. They'll just overheat, and you'll just destroy them. So
let's be horrible. Like running wets in dry conditions. I mean, I have to admit, I didn't do that many rain races in real life yet, but I had quite a few training sessions on wets and changing between intermediates and slicks. And wets, once there's a dry line, you eat through them massively.
Yeah.
And then they start, like, all the small chunks of rubber actually start melting, and they become one, and then they're not really working well as wets anymore. So that didn't pay it off for Payo Path, at least for now. Nico Barkley, he dropped back one spot from 9th to 10th now, with Shara right behind him. Actually it's great. Like I said, race director Jimmy Allison keeps me up to date with everything throughout the race, although he says now no comment about wet and crashing on Nordschleife. That wasn't during a race, Jimmy. I did that during free practice, basically.
So it didn't count.
It didn't count. Yeah, it was my street car being crashed, not the race car. So, can Shara actually make a move on Nico Barkley on Camel Straight? It seems like he can. The Porsche really launching out over Dion. But Barkley, no chance on the Corvette. The Porsche will be through, but is there enough time actually for him to get back on Shara into Lecombe? No, he's actually leaving a bit of a gap there, not trying to get involved. Was that Jan van der Heide being a bit slow on Camel Straight, right? He's in 12th right now.
Yeah.
But no, car looks okay. I was confused if something happened to him, but it was all good.
Another spin in the replay. Not his race as well. You can see again, essentially the car not being able to catch that drift, and then around he goes to complete that 360 there. But yeah, a lot of drivers throughout the race, like even after 10 or 12 laps of rain, still not really being able to get to grips with the grip level and how far you can push the car, and yeah, how wide the line essentially is. I mean, you can't really see it. Like, it looks completely wet, but there's definitely a difference between online and offline as far as how much water there is. I mean, you can actually see some puddles on the left there and on the right here. So yeah, there will definitely be a difference between what line you're on, and we go from one Porsche to the next. Adrisi has catched up. It's within 2/10, and I expect, yeah, I mean, if he's really been on wet since the start, then even in a corner like this, which in the dry is completely flat, we don't have to brake, but there will definitely be a lift, and Pef should lose a little bit more speed there. It's not too bad, actually.
Yeah, I was expecting Arisi to in the move a bit quicker, but he's definitely not doing it into Blanchimont. Way too risky in the rain. Stepping back again, and this is Jajowski against Wisniewski. So Wisniewski with his eyes on a podium, if he can overcome Erhan who could climb the trophy today and become back-to-back champion in the rFactor 2 GT Pro Series powered by VCO. But for now, is Wisniewski at least taking away the podium.
No, it's actually a bit surprising to see how well the cars can follow each other up the run, and how much more speed they carry through that kind of like that last bit up the hill. You'd expect them to struggle there still a little bit and then catch up with the slipstream after that, but they're actually very strong. Whereas at the same time, you see some drivers being catched out there and spin around, so the dirty air is definitely there. But they found a way to maybe change their line a little bit to still maximize the amount of downforce that they get through there, and then still at the same time get that downforce and slipstream and everything at the same time. So, I mean, they're pros for a reason, of course. But it's interesting to see how much of a contrast there is between some drivers being catched out massively there and then others being able to follow seemingly quite easily and then making the move very early on, actually, on that straight.
Kevin Siggy still having 2.5 seconds of gap towards Siebel, but this fight will be on for the last 1.5 minutes between Wisniewski and Jajowski, while we see Pajopev once again defending against Lorenzo Arisi. And yeah, 1.5 minutes. If he can make it happen here and stay on 13th, it will probably help for him to stay in GT Pro for Season 3. There's obviously coming Season 3 in 2021, so don't worry about that. Same for GT Challenge, but will return next Monday for their final race with Lewis McLeod and Aidan Millward on commentary duty. So make sure to watch that on Monday. Will be a great final there as well. Arisi looking up the inside, going for a move though. We now check out both fights, and I got a camera with Kevin Siggy just to be sure that nothing happens up front. But Jajowski, does he get a podium on the very last race of the season as a topping basically on his championship, as he will become champion? Kind of robbed of the fight for the championship here in Spa, with Yuri Kastorp taking out the rest of the Romain Grosjean team, because they were all in a position to fight for the championship. And I think Kevin Siggy, he can't score enough, even with 2 races, to win the championship. Although I might be wrong with that. I mean, on air math, definitely not my strength. So we will have to wait for final confirmation. So maybe Jajowski wants to push hard, while Arisi once again on the outside there against Pajopev. But yeah, maybe Jajowski wants to be sure, and he would feel a lot better with a podium at the end of the race. Well, clock now runs out with Kevin Siggy just ending Sector 2 basically. Alex Siebel, strong result for him if he finishes like that. He's in second right now for Evolution Motorsport, so they will be happy about that. And then Wisniewski and Jajowski, that's the fight that still not through. I heard Kevin can't make it, so yeah, Kevin Siggy will, even with 2 wins here in Spa, there's no chance for him to become champion, so that will go to Jajowski as long as he finishes the race. Arisi now with the slipstream against Pajopev on Camel Straight. That should be enough this time. Braking late enough. Yeah, passing the Porsche. No problem keeping that Corvette on the line, blocking the next inside. That worked very well for him. And Paja has to drop down to 14th. Jajowski, though, couldn't do an attack yet on Nikodem Wisniewski. Can he do that before the end of the lap? That's the big question for him. Well, Kevin Siggy is cruising, basically, towards a double win here at Spa. Seems to be his track. Team Redline really showing off in the last round of the championship. Coming around Blanchimont for the last time this season. Once again has to light up the brakes. Braking up into the chicane. Got the car to stop. That's good. One last left-hander. And then Kevin Siggy takes back-to-back wins in Spa-Francorchamps in the last round of the rFactor 2 GT Pro Series powered by VCO. Alex Siebel second, Nikodem Wisniewski in third, and then it's Erhan Jajowski coming across the line fourth and being the first ever back-to-back champion, not just back-to-back race winner, but back-to-back champion of the rFactor 2 GT Pro Series, winning yet another championship for Romain Grosjean Esports, doing some donuts already. Well, we have Schunflit versus Panzer on the screen, but I can see the donuts and La Sauce going on here with the commentary booth. But Kevin Siggy, definitely someone I would bet for next season on to be contender for the championship. Can Arne Schunflit defend 16th position against Robin Panzer, going nearly side by side into Blanchimont, quite tap on the rear, and it's Schunflit spinning, Panzer spinning, both going off track on the very last lap. Can they even lose positions down there? Who's back? There's Peter Bjerluk behind them, Cedar Vaya and Kevin Rotting, but Rotting is in the pits, so not making it around. Schunflit without a rear wing, now waiting for Peter Bjerluk. We're on board with him right now. He's coming around Blanchimont, and they're on the right. That is Arne Schunflit returning on track. Oh, is there a chance to Peter Bjerluk to maybe even get that spot?
Yeah, there's no rear wing in that car either, so...
Robin Panzer actually waits for Arne Schunflit. Fair move there. I think he waits for... Yeah, he waits for Arne Schunflit to cross the line. So it's Schunflit 16th, Robin Panzer 17th, and then Peter Bjerluk in 18th. So no changes on positions. All we see, the race results. Top 10 mixed up after everything that happened today. So Kevin Siggy, Siebel, Wisniewski, Jajowski, and Nisula for the top 5. Nuno Pinto, strongest result I think this season with 7th. Michi Hoyer, very good run here for the GT Challenge champion in 8th. Dennis Jordan 9th. And Zbigniew Szara will be very happy about a 10th position that might help him to stay in GT Pro Series for Season 3. But wow, Ruben, what a race this was.
Yeah, this might be not really the final that you expect with all of those DNFs early on, but I mean, that's part of the championship as well. I guess the chaos that comes with the rain. And I think the rain definitely delivered when it comes to the amount of action that we've seen.
Yeah, it was quite a race, let's be honest. We knew Spa will be a great final for the second season of our championship. And while we're at it, I actually want to thank everyone watching the championship, either if this is the first time or if you were watching the entire championship. Obviously, thanks to you, Ruben, as well, for making all of this happening. I mean, you're the guy behind the camera doing production here, bringing this onto the screen, also doing commentary today. Lee Smith, who was here with us for all the other races as commentator. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it today. He's in chat right now. I can actually see him. Aiden Millwood and Lewis McGlade for covering the GT Challenge Series, and Jimmy Allison actually putting on the race action that we see. So big thanks to everyone out there. But Spa was way more than I expected. Was interesting to see different strategies being thrown around as well, with, for example, a player path starting on wets. And yeah, I just think we got a final that we will remember and probably even talk about in Season 3, Ruben, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you look at how this season went by, the Ferraris not really being able to catch up, but then the BMW through the season really powering forward. I mean, that's a great story to see, of course. So yeah, I can't wait what Season 3 will bring.
Yeah, Season 3 we talked about already. We can't give you dates just now because first of all, we will obviously have the championship relegation. So GT Challenge versus GT Pro for the last remaining spots in the championship. You can see that. I would say probably... I don't want to say it because otherwise I might get blamed later on. But it should be on your screens and fairly soon. Not this year anymore, with Christmas being right in front of us. Just a few days before you can all open presents. Obviously, make sure to check out our social media and Discord because there will be the competition system come in. 3,000 euros, as you can see, championship prize money. That will go towards Oniovsky. I'm absolutely sure about that. 250 euros will go to Kevin Siggy. That's also a given. Who had a great race here at Spa. Well, I can see some people at Discord actually asking, since they didn't saw the car announcement, I think we could roll that again, right, Ruben?
I think we should. We must.
Should, right?
We must, solely for the reason of the fact that I had to do comms today. I wasn't able to do as many slow-mos as I had, so this is how we make up for it. So let's enjoy this this nice little clip, and yeah, I guess we'll see everybody next week. And that's the thing as well, of course, with Challenge and the whole relegation story that we'll have after the season. Pro is only part of the story of that relegation. Of course, the top 5 of Challenge going to Pro, and then number 6 to 10 going into that relegation phase. So there's a lot still to look forward to. So yeah, stay tuned for that.